Walmart manager demands to remove dog, regrets it. Suddenly, she realized something was off. By the time she understood what was happening, it was too late, the damage had been done. As she got closer, it no longer looked disheartened or afraid. Its reaction confused her, and then it dawned on her. Her heart grew unbearably heavy as she looked closer and fell to the floor. Holly Jacobs worked as a manager at a busy Walmart located in Dallas, Texas, for the past 8 years. She was a dedicated worker and loved feeling like a valuable member of her team. Her life was her work, especially after her personal life took a turn for the worst around 3 long months ago. Holly was gifted Millie 4 years ago by her ex-boyfriend. Their relationship ended 4 months ago. After imagining him as the one that would be by her side forever, it was a tough blow for Millie, but she didn't have to go through it alone. Millie was always by her side, giving her love and company whenever she needed it most. She was everything to her, and that's what hurt the most. Holly was devastated when she came home 3 months ago to an empty house. Millie, her most loved and trusted companion, had run away. She tried desperately to search for her, but it was no use. Even though it was a dog, she felt betrayed. She swore to herself that she'd never get a dog again. For her, the pain was unbearable. So when she ran into a stray at work, it's no surprise that she turned a blind eye to it. She first noticed a stray dog hanging around the Walmart parking lot about a month ago. She was alerted to it by customers that reported the dog and complained about other people feeding it in the parking lot. It had become dangerous. Now, as the manager, Holly had to deal with it. Little did she know, she'd deal with it in the completely wrong way. Holly took an instant dislike to the dog. She demanded her team to catch it, but whenever they approached it, it would run away. It continued like this for weeks until one day, things took an unexpected turn. Signs had been placed outside the store, instructing people to stop feeding the dog. It was a demand she'd later regret. Holly watched as the hungry dog sneaked inside the doors and ran up the food aisle. She immediately alerted her team to catch it. At first, she didn't want to get involved, but when her colleagues failed to catch the dog after 5 long minutes, they were becoming a laughingstock, and it was a huge health code violation. She stepped in. Holly ran around the huge store, trying to capture the dog, but soon, she understood the problem. Like always, the store was incredibly busy. There were so many people to push past that it was impossible to run. And the dog was fast and small-sized, so he could squeeze through people in the aisles effortlessly. But that's not what Holly was paying attention to. Holly watched as one of the customers positioned himself between the dog and the exit and successfully caught the animal. There were claps from the crowd as now they could finally get the dog the help it needed. Begrudgingly, Holly made her way over to the troublemaker. Completely unaware of what would happen next. Even from a distance, Holly could see that the dog was covered in mange and was very skinny. She made her way over to help her colleagues get it out. But as Holly got closer, she realized something was off. The dog didn't bark, it was calm and had a quiet wisdom in its demeanor. By the time Holly understood what was happening, it was too late. As Holly got closer, the dog unexpectedly perked up its ears and wagged its tail ferociously. It no longer looked disheartened or afraid. Holly noticed the dog's reaction, confused, and then it dawned on her. Her heart grew unbearably heavy as she looked at it closely, inspecting its coat. Suddenly, she gasped in shock. Holly burst into tears as she realized the dog was Millie, her 4-year-old beloved mutt that went missing 3 whole months ago. After seeing the notable unique patch of white fur around her collar, there was no more denying it. Holly broke down, pleading with her dog to forgive her for not coming to her rescue all this time. I bent over and hugged her. I completely lost it then. I couldn't speak. I was in complete shock and just couldn't believe it, Holly gushed. She tearfully embraced Millie for several minutes, which attracted the attention of her work colleagues who were now gathered around them, their heads tilted in confusion. Holly continued to explain who this was, but one thing weighed heavy on everyone's mind. How did Millie know to come here? How did she know this was where Holly worked? As it turned out, Holly and her ex-boyfriend would often park at Walmart and bring Millie for walks in the woods that rested behind the store. They took this route every weekend. Could it really be possible that Millie remembered this path and hoped to run into Holly? One dog expert sure thinks so. I suspect that the dog was roaming around somewhere at random until it stumbled upon a familiar location. I think it is perfectly plausible and very likely that this dog was distressed and upset and trying to find his home, he stated. A dog's navigation isn't perfect, but it does recognize certain important large landmarks. Wow. What a story.